Episode 8. What do disasters reveal about Puerto Ricans' citizenship and political status? In recent years, climate change, largely due to human activity, has caused natural disasters to become more frequent and devastating than ever before. Disasters should be seen as more than just natural events, according to Oliver Smith and Hoffman. Disasters provide an important opportunity to critically examine how society operates and sometimes fails to work properly. They believe disasters offer a chance to reevaluate commonly held beliefs about social and cultural differences. This awareness could be the starting point for rethinking and reconstructing dysfunctional systems. In 2017, while also battling the worst economic crisis in its history, Puerto Rico was hit by two major hurricanes, Irma and Maria, which left its inhabitants extremely vulnerable, ultimately uncovering the major disparity in terms of citizenship and political status. Several months into the aftermath, Puerto Ricans were left without reliable access to food, water, and electricity. When pressured to explain the reasons behind this unequal treatment to the archipelago, FEMA and other U.S. officials said they took longer to send help to Puerto Rico because of its unique geographic situation. However, experts on disaster response have highlighted the importance of congressional representation and advocacy after a natural disaster. Following Hurricane Harvey in 2017, the 36 congressional representatives and 2 senators from Texas called the federal government's attention and ensured that the needs of their constituents were met. As an unincorporated territory, Puerto Rico had only 1 congressional delegate who, while having the right to speak, does not vote in Congress. Consequently, Puerto Rico's ability to demand assistance was dramatically less than that of Texas and other incorporated states. Puerto Rico's lack of congressional representation also affected its capacity to negotiate federal funding for rebuilding projects. By the end of March 2018, not only did Texas receive funding for infrastructure repairs, while Puerto Rico had not received a cent of federal support, but the federal government made Puerto Rico the first disaster zone that would be required to cover any costs that exceeded their initial rebuilding budget. This requirement did not exist for other incorporated states. In the case of Texas, FEMA was responsible for paying any budget overages of federally funded reconstruction projects. Not only did the lack of congressional representation affect the quick emergency response, but one important difference was the reports on the death toll. President Trump and Governor Ricardo Rosselló reported that the official death toll was only 64. However, later, a private report made by Harvard University showed that the hurricane's fatal victims were more than 4,000. In the context of this disaster and the tremendous loss of lives, cultural anthropologist Hilda Llorens studied the U.S. media depictions of Puerto Ricans as climate migrants, and she noticed that these American citizens were asked to prove their worthiness in order to be treated as climate refugees before the U.S. media. This unequal treatment also manifested in the Supreme Court's addressing of Puerto Rico's economic crisis. In 2015, the Puerto Rican government declared bankruptcy, and the governor at the time, Alejandro Garcia Padilla, declared that the $72 billion debt was unpayable. To address the issue, the local government passed Law 71 on June 28, 2014, known as the Ley de Quiebra Criolla, Creole Bankruptcy Law, to try to stop the collection of payments. In February 2015, the U.S. federal court declared this law unconstitutional. The Puerto Rican government appealed this decision thrice, even reaching out to the U.S. Supreme Court in 2016. The Supreme Court finally determined that Puerto Rico could not declare bankruptcy because it is still regarded as an unincorporated territory, meaning it does not have constitutional protections like other states. In 2016, following the U.S. Supreme Court decision, the President of the United States, Barack Obama, signed the Puerto Rico Oversight Management and Economic Stability Act, PROMESA, an austerity measure that stripped the local government of their authority to manage domestic affairs. PROMESA painfully reminded Puerto Ricanas that the Commonwealth's fiscal autonomy was illusory. While disasters in Puerto Rico have played an important revelatory role, especially regarding Puerto Rican citizenship and political status, they have also shown the strength and emancipatory practices Puerto Ricans engage in. By using solar energy, building community kitchens, and occupying abandoned public schools, many community leaders and grassroots organizations described Hurricane Maria as their teacher. Because after the turmoil caused by the storm, people not only discovered what did not work, which is almost everything, but they also discovered quickly what things worked surprisingly well. In this way, the environmental disaster of Maria revealed the devastation caused by a long-standing colonial history with the U.S. while building, at least at the community level, a decolonial future.